2022 is going to be an absolutely insane year. And for all of those developers here, I'm here to give you the tools that you absolutely need to know about to be a successful smart contract developer in the year 2022. We're going to look across the top 10 categories that you absolutely need to know about for this year, and then the best tools of each category. Now, a lot of these categories don't have a best tool, and really at the end of the day, whatever tool works best for you is the best tool for you. So keep that in mind when we're going through these. And then at the end, we'll give you a little NFTat update. So let's jump in. And for those of you looking for resources on how to learn to start your blockchain journey, there's a link in the description to give you some tools and some of the best places to get started. So the number one thing a smart contract developer needs to think about and needs to pick when starting their journey is the language that they want to use. You basically have three choices: Solidity, Viper, and Rust. The most commonly used language out there, period, full stop, is going to be Solidity. And if you learn to use this tool, you will learn how to use what 90% of the other smart contract developers in this space are using. Solidity is what's known as an EVM compatible language and works with Ethereum, Avalanche, Polygon, Binance Smart Chain, just to name a few. If you want to deploy on any of these EVM chains, Solidity will work exactly the same on every single one of them. So because of that, if you're a smart contract developer, I highly recommend you learn Solidity. In fact, you basically must learn Solidity to be in this space. After Solidity, we have Viper. This is the Pythonic sibling of Solidity. Viper is mainly used by protocols like Yearn.finance and Curve, and is also EVM compatible. And it is a great language to learn and use if you prefer Pythonic syntax over the Solidity JavaScripty syntax. And then finally, Rust. Rust is a language if you want to work with some of these newer blockchains like Solana or Terra, or you want to build your own blockchain on the Polkadot network. Picking a language is incredibly important, and you can use all these languages in your projects, but for the most part, you're going to be working with one or the other. I highly recommend everybody basically use Solidity. However, Viper is absolutely fantastic for those who like Python, and Rust is great for those who want to work in non-EVM blockchains. Number two, smart contract essentials. Now, these are tools that I didn't really know how to categorize, but basically everyone should be familiar with these. And they are Chainlink and they are OpenZeppelin. The reason I became a Chainlink developer advocate is because I think smart contracts are cool, but having data from the real world and external computation and a bridge to the real world makes these smart contracts these superior digital agreements that we want them to be. Chainlink is what's known as a blockchain oracle network and can bring decentralized data into your smart contract or do decentralized external computation. In fact, more than 50% of the top 10 DeFi protocols use oracles as critical infrastructures for the protocols. Realize the ultimate potential of your smart contracts with Chainlink. If you've watched this channel, you know I've done a number of tutorials with Chainlink. I've got a couple links in the description to get you started as well. Next up for essentials is going to be the OpenZeppelin contracts. Now, Chainlink is a tool that's blockchain agnostic. It's language agnostic. You can use it with Solidity, Viper, Rust, Solana, Terra. Doesn't matter. You can use Chainlink with everything. OpenZeppelin is a little bit more specific to Solidity. Now, OpenZeppelin contracts give you a suite of pre-built contracts that come out of the bag, audited and ready to go, and it'll save you tons and tons of times on your projects. If you're looking to build an ERC20, boom, just import it from OpenZeppelin. If you want to build an NFT, if you want to build a DAO, if you want to build a DEX, all these tools OpenZeppelin has right out of the bag and will save you a ton of time and save you from reinventing the wheel. OpenZeppelin is quickly becoming the standard library of Solidity. Summary of this section, use both. Chainlink, OpenZeppelin, they're both absolutely fantastic, and I highly recommend everybody learns them. Deployment and testing frameworks. Okay, I did a review on just this last year. Let's take a quick look. And man, oh man, my video quality has gone up. At the end of the day, especially for this section, whatever you like is the tool that's best for you. And again, boop, here's a little infographic of what the top 10 DeFi protocols are using as their development frameworks. Before we jump in, I'm going to do a quick summary of what I think is the approximate breakdown of all these frameworks. Now remember, this is just what I think. All of these frameworks are fantastic in their own right. However, if I had to separate them all, I would say the big ones are going to be Hardhat, Brownie, and dApp tools. Some of the good ones are going to be Remix, Truffle, ApeWorks, and Foundry. And the non-EVM ones are going to be Anchor and Terra SDK. And there are some outdated ones as well. I've left those in a link in the description if you want to check those out. All right, so first, let's jump into the most widely used, the most popular framework at the moment, which is Hardhat. Hardhat is currently used by over 50% of the top DeFi protocols in this space. And it's no wonder why. Hardhead is a JavaScript-based smart contract deployment and testing framework. They've built their own local blockchain for running tests that is incredibly fast, and the team is stellar. And they are working on some crazy new stuff for 2022. So Hardhead is gonna be one I highly, highly recommend to anybody who likes JavaScript or wants to use the currently most popular framework in the space. Up next, we have the delicious Brownie. Now, Brownie is my favorite framework, period. Why? Because I like Python. I've self-appointed myself a Brownie developer advocate, even though there really is no such role. Brownie is used by DeFi giants like Curve.finance, Badger, and Yearn.finance. It supports both Solidity and Viper, because, again, Viper is Pythonic, Brownie is Pythonic, it just makes sense. Brownie is gonna get 2 thumbs up and a highly recommend from me if you like Python or you wanna work with my favorite framework. If you follow MakerDAO on Twitter or Transmissions11, you've probably heard of DAppTools before. Now, although DAppTools doesn't really have a cool fancy logo, it is an incredibly powerful, straightforward smart contract development and testing framework. Instead of having to learn one of these high-level languages like Python or JavaScript, DAppTools says, okay, you know command line, perfect. That's all you need. It comes pre-packaged with a whole bunch of really useful tools to interact and work with Ethereum and other EVM compatible blockchains. Now, this wasn't one of my favorite tools to work with. However, I can easily see why people fall in love with it. I got that sort of badass dev vibe from working with it because I was using bash scripts, I was using makefiles, which Brownie and Hardhead kind of abstract out. This is another one I'm gonna give a clap and highly recommend too. Moving on to the good ones. I think all of these are good. First up is Remix. Now Remix kind of gets an asterisk here, right? So I don't consider Remix a deployment and testing framework. I think of Remix as an integrated development environment, which is what it is. However, I do think everyone should know Remix. Remix is kind of this common ground we can all go to when trying out Solidity code. And it's also got some JavaScripting improvements in it, which makes it really helpful and powerful. I don't think it's as good for production environment because it's harder to put in kind of a traditional CI/CD pipeline, although there are ways to do that as well. And if you want to use it for production, great, do it. Now, if you're here, you've probably heard of Truffle before. Truffle was the de facto smart contract development framework back in 2019. Truffle is additionally a JavaScript-focused framework, and it comes with really cool tools like Drizzle and Ganache out of the box. Truffle and Hardhead are definitely directly competing. They're both JavaScript frameworks. They both do a lot of the same things. For a lot of the things that I care about, Hardhead seems to take the cake. Hardhead's a little bit faster. The community seems to be a little bit more active. I've spoken with the Truffle team. They said they are rolling out some new features for Truffle, so I'm excited for what Truffle's gonna do in 2022. Definitely one that works fantastically well. Ganache I still think is absolutely fantastic. It has a great UI for seeing transactions. So I would definitely say feel free to use this if you prefer. ApeWorks. And if you're like me, you hear the name of this thing, you immediately wanna use it because it's ApeWorks. ApeWorks is the new Python kid on the block and is a reimagining of the Brownie tool. One of the things I really like about ApeWorks is it has a plugins feature. So you can build your own plugins on top of ApeWorks. The focus of ApeWorks is to really focus on the fintech DeFi side of smart contracts. It feels very Brownie-like. It's very simple to use. It's very Pythonic. If you want to use another framework, definitely check out ApeWorks, and I'm planning on checking them out a lot more in 2022. Foundry is DAppTools written in Rust. That's it. I've worked a little bit with Foundry so far. I'm liking what it does. It has pretty much the exact same feel as DAppTools, but with Rust. So this is another fantastic framework to use if you'd like. Now, I'm not gonna go over the alts. If you want, you can check out my article on the alts. Link is in the description to read more about some of the alts. Wallets. If you're deploying smart contracts in some capacity, you need funds to deploy them to your blockchain. Now, we're gonna mainly focus on EVM compatible wallets here. However, there are a ton of wallets for every single ecosystem out there. First up, MetaMask. No surprise to anyone here. If you're gonna be building a website, you are gonna need a way to interact with that website. And MetaMask is this in-browser wallet for you. If you haven't checked out MetaMask, link in the description, definitely check it out. Now, MetaMask is what's known as a hot wallet because it's always connected to the internet, and the security parameters, because of that, are a little bit flakier, right? So one of the things that you might want to have in addition to MetaMask is what's called a cold wallet or cold storage. And the two I'm going to talk about here is going to be Ledger and Trezor. Now, I know there's a ton of wallets out there, but these are two incredibly solid choices. If you accidentally push your private key up to GitHub, for example, and it's just your hot wallet, which maybe has $10 in it, that's going to be a lot better than if you push your private key with your life savings. And then finally, Gnosis Safe. Now, Gnosis Safe is what's known as a multi-sig wallet. So you need multiple people to send a transaction. So maybe you need 3 out of 5, or maybe 4 out of 7, or something like that. Gnosis Safe and these multi-sig wallets are incredibly powerful, especially for developers. If you're a DAO and maybe you have a board of directors or something like that, and you want to make some action happen, maybe you're gonna build into your smart contract application that 7 of 12 people need to sign some transactions. So multi-sigs are incredibly powerful, especially for developers, and Gnosis Safe is a wonderful, wonderful UI for getting these safes up, getting these multi-sig wallets up, and getting going. So highly recommend everybody check out Gnosis Safe. So the summary of this section is really every smart contract developer needs a hot wallet, a cold wallet, and if you're doing stuff that requires maybe a little bit more security, a multi-sig wallet. Block explorers. Now, block explorers are essential for people to see transactions. Now, I'm an Etherscan power user, so I love Etherscan. I use Etherscan all the time. It's crazy to me how it's free, but I'm okay with that. Etherscan is just one of these tools where anytime you send a transaction, you want to see what's going on with it, you check out Etherscan. 2 other fantastic ones are going to be Etherchain and ETHPlore. Etherchain in particular is one that I've been loving for the ETH2 or the ETH merge or whatever it is, for that beacon chain. And competition is important, so I'm glad these exist at least to compete with Etherscan. Layer 1 connection. These are just my opinions. In order to send transactions to a blockchain, you need a blockchain to send to. Now, you could totally spin something up with Geth, but then you have to worry about maintaining and monitoring that. So what a lot of people do is they send it to a third party. They send their transactions to a third party blockchain from node as a service providers like Alchemy, Infura, Moralis, or QuickNode. Now, for me personally, I use Alchemy in pretty much everything. The speed of the transactions has always been incredibly fast. Their dashboards are great. You get to really granularly see exactly what's happening with your nodes and exactly with the transactions that you're sending. I've never had a problem with forking mainnet. When I've reached my rate limit, it's very clear what's going on. They have a fantastic DevRel team. I really can't speak highly enough about Alchemy. Love their service, love using them, probably gonna keep using them. Next up is Infura. Infura, very much like Alchemy, is another one of these nodes as a service. They work really well. I really don't have much bad to say. A couple times I've run into some weird issues and then I just switched to Alchemy and it works. So maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I'm not an Infura power user. I don't know. But it's another great alternative. Moralis, I didn't even know had an offering here until I saw on their webpage they had speedy nodes, and I was like, oh my goodness, Moralis has everything. Now, they don't have as crazy of a dashboard as like Alchemy or Infura, but if Alchemy or Infura don't have a node you're looking for, Moralis might have it. And I've used Moralis on a number of occasions, and they've been fantastic. And last but not least is QuickNode. QuickNode is one of these things that just seems to have a crazy catalog of blockchains. Like, there's a good chance QuickNode already has a node for it. QuickNode is another service I recommend. If you'd like. So my summary here is really use whatever provider that you like. And no, none of these gave me any money to say anything here. Although if any of you want to give me a grant for doing an unbiased review, feel free. All right, we've talked about the back. Now let's talk about some front-end tools. For building full stack dApps, you'll probably see all the normal stuff like React, Svelte, Angular, blah, 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 CSS, Tailwind, blah, blah, whatever. But let's talk about just the blockchain stuff for building our front ends. Since the front ends have to be built in JavaScript, we got to talk about Web3.js and Ethers.js. Both of these are fantastic tools. They'll get the job done. I personally use Ethers.js for my front end stuff a little bit more, but if you like Web3.js, you can use Web3.js. You're probably going to use one of these no matter what. They're both open source. They're great. Use them. Next up is Moralis. Now, if you're in this space, you've probably heard of Ivan on Tech before. Ivan on Tech is one of the co-founders of the Moralis tool. And after using Moralis a little bit, I got to move Moralis into the, oh my goodness, highly recommend, everyone should know Moralis category. My life has become substantially easier with using Moralis and building front-end tools. There's a lot of things in the blockchain world that are kind of hard to do. For example, finding every single NFT one wallet has, you actually have to do a ton of queries to find that. Moralis is a cloud-based server that can do that for you. Moralis is marketed as the Firebase of crypto. You can have kind of a backend for your front end, but it also has a bunch of non-server related tools that you can use, like connecting your wallet to your front end, sending transactions. It has integrations directly with Web3.js. Highly recommend everyone check out Moralis. Use that. It's literally EVM meets React. It's a ton of React hooks. It's incredibly powerful. If you like React hooks and you want to play with some React hooks, check out UseDApp. Drizzle. Drizzle is from the family of Truffle, MetaMask, and Consensus, and it is a wonderful tool for building front ends very quickly. Similar to Moralis and UseDApp, you slap a tag into your HTML and boom, you've Drizzleified your front end, you've Web3ified your front end, and you can get going. Additionally, there are two more tools that I want to point out that aren't really tools, but they are boilerplate codes: Create ETH app and Scaffold ETH. Create ETH app is like the Create React app of ETH, and Scaffold ETH is created by the amazing Austin Griffith for people to get Web3 applications spun up quickly. Highly recommend checking both these out. Help and support tools. Now, a lot of people don't think of these as tools, but to me, I think they're absolutely essential, critical, 100%. Everyone needs to use them. When you run into an error, what's the first thing that you do? You Google it. And oftentimes you fall to Stack Overflow and Stack Exchange Ethereum. Use these. In the article associated with this video, I've got a quick blurb on how to ask a good question. Learning how to ask good questions will result in you learning much faster. Now, I know there are no such thing as bad questions, but there are poorly formatted questions. So learning how to ask questions on Stack Overflow and Stack Exchange Ethereum or whatever blockchain community you're a part of is going to result in not only you learning more faster, but you helping your entire community get faster, stronger, better. Now, I'm a big fan of asking questions in public spaces and people having conversations in public spaces, especially spaces that are indexable and searchable. Discord is a space that is great for talking and theorizing, but I don't think it's a great place for technical support because those conversations are lost to Discord. So much better is going to be Stack Overflow or Stack Exchange Ethereum, because those are going to be indexed later. And when you go to search for those questions again, when you run into them again, because I can't tell you how many times I've Googled how to do a for loop in a language, it will come up in the search results. So if you take anything away from this video, take this one thing. The tool you should learn is this. If you Google your technical issue and it doesn't show up on the first page of Google results, make it a Stack Overflow question. Or another really fantastic one is the Open Zeppelin forum. Fantastic place. Summary: make searchable, discoverable, concise, minimalistic, reproducible questions onto some indexed forum somewhere, please. Security. I don't want to play peekaboo for security. Now, as we know, when we deploy our smart contract, that code is there forever, permanently. So we want to make sure we deploy good permanent code. And that's where some of these security tools are going to make your lives a lot easier. Now, I'm going to be honest here. Some of these tools I haven't worked with, so I've left 2 links in the description of some other creators who have done comparisons themselves. I have worked with a couple of these because I've done a couple of audits, and having these tools by your side is crucial, especially if you're going to be doing audits. So let's get started. First up is going to be actually a suite of tools from the Trail of Bits team. Now, Trail of Bits is a team that I've mentioned many times before. They're one of my favorite auditors in the space. They do a fantastic job on their audits. They release a ton of open source code to help other people do audits. Love them. I love them. I love them. And 3 of those tools are going to be Slither, Manticore, and Echidna. I hope I'm saying that right. Slither is really becoming one of these go-to tools for static analysis. Static analysis is just looking through a code without actually executing anything in the application. So it's just looking for stuff. And Slither is becoming one of these go-tools for static analysis. Highly recommend everyone try out Slither at some point in their careers. Manticore is another Trail of Bits which does symbolic execution. So this one actually does some execution of your code to look for these vulnerabilities. Definitely recommend everybody check this out as well. And then finally, Echidna. Echidna is what's known as a fuzzer. The way I think about fuzzing is if you have a test which takes some parameters, it will just dump a ton of different parameters to see if something breaks it. So I think fuzzing is incredibly important for running your tests and security. After Trail of Bits, we have the Consensus team with some awesome tools as well. Their pride and glory at the moment is this tool called Mythics. Now, this is something I actually have worked with, and it has caught a number of bugs and vulnerabilities in smart contract code. This is paywalled, but it is a fantastic tool to use if you have the money to do so. The watered down open source version of this is called Mithro, and it's another one that you definitely want to check out if you're looking to run an open source automated security analysis tool. And then finally, check out Securify. The ones I'm most familiar with are going to be the Trail of Bits suite of tools. So let me know what you think in the comment section if I missed one or if you like one better than the other. But the summary here is use one of these when deploying, or some of them, or many of them. Audits are incredibly important. They do not replace an audit, and they still won't catch everything, but they're great to use and they're important to use to make yourself a little bit more secure. Finally, real quick section, monitoring and maintenance. Open Zeppelin Defender and Tenderly, both fantastic for monitoring your code. You can set up alerts with both of these. You can deploy stuff. You can do different interactions from their UIs. These are great tools, continuous monitoring of your smart contracts. Whew! So that's a lot of tools. I know. Hopefully it gives you a good idea of some of the tools you should be familiar with this year and some of the groups that are really driving to make our lives a lot better. I want to give a huge thank you to all the protocols who are building all these tools to make our lives easier. A lot of these are built as open source projects and start with zero funding, which is crazy. So if you can fund some of these projects, a lot of them are on Gitcoin grants. I definitely recommend checking them out and supporting these amazing tools that make our lives better as developers. So definitely check that out as well. And if you think I missed any, let me know in the comment section. 2022 is going to be insane. So I'm excited. I hope you are too. The NFTat update. So as you know from my last video, I did indeed get the tattoo, but A, nobody bought my NFT. Nobody voted on whether or not I got the NFT. It might be because I did a horrible job sending out my token, but that's okay. So sadly, since nobody bought it, we're still gonna donate $3,000 via the wildcards.world protocol. And if you wanna buy this NFT, you still can, and we will still donate all the proceeds to wildcards.world. That's the update there. And everybody, I got a list a mile long of things you're all looking for and tutorials you're looking for, and I am so excited to be on this journey with you. Peace out all.